Hi, this is Martin Barre, and you are listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on KC Radio 97.7 FM.
All right, let's start having a chat about this album. It's been one that you've been selling at gigs, but there's some added bonuses now.
Yeah. The idea of selling it at gigs was a special product for people who came to see us play. And I hadn't really had an intention of releasing it, but I was persuaded, and I said, well, okay, we'll put it out worldwide. But I think we should add something else to it. Not so that people who'd already bought the gig version would buy this one, but I don't know, I just felt a bit better if it was a slightly different product. So we've added 4 bonus tracks, which are taken from a live performance in the USA. And that's the gig that's coming out on DVD at the end of the year. So it's complicated. A lot of stuff flying around. But it's just nice to have it out available to everybody, because it's been well received, and it's seeing we're not touring, that there's no other way of getting it to an audience.
There's some wonderful interpretations of some great songs from the Jethro Tull catalogue. Covering the songs verbatim would be probably a futile exercise, so putting a different spin on them would be a major priority for you, I would guess.
Yeah, I didn't feel an obligation to do that, but I always look at a song, and if something comes to mind, I might explore that possibility. Sometimes I just think, no, it just needs to be exactly how it was when it was on the record originally. Other times I have a bit of fun, and if it turns out sounding fresher and a bit more lively, then we roll with that. But it's a combination. I've always been a fiddler and a twiddler with music. I love arranging and sort of adding little bits and pieces here and there. It just adds to the fun, and if the fun comes across in the performance, then that's a success.
And what happens then, basically, what you haven't got is an exercise in nostalgia. You're putting a whole new spin on these songs. Were some of these arrangements that maybe you had in mind back in the day when you were with Tull?
No, it was pretty strict in Tull. We kept things very much like the record. I think there's only like 1 or 2 tracks that we played so many times that we... I think Locomotive Breath, we sort of did something with that was really awful, and living in the past. But I think it's because we played it so many times, we just got a bit tired of it. But the fans soon corrected us on that issue. They just didn't like it, and quite right. You can. There's a bit of leeway, but not that much.
Was there any specific criteria that you used for selecting the songs?
But I sort of go with my gut feeling, and I've got my favourites. There's tracks that I know the audience like. There's things that we've done on stage before as a Martin Barre band, and they work really well. So it's taking a whole package and just sort of making a judgment call on. Based on all those criteria, but it's quite a safe bet, and Tull audiences are always very sort of receptive and forgiving, or just they if you slip in something that's a bit left to centre, they quite like it. They're very broad-minded. So on the record, slow marching band. Under Wraps, these are tracks that normally wouldn't appear during a Tull concert or on a records. But I just think, it's nice because they're good songs, that they deserve a second airing, if you like. And I'm always looking for something that's not well known from the catalogue that works really well, just to sort of throw in a curveball.
I guess the major difference that most people would notice, even the most casual Jethro Tull fan would notice, is the total absence of flute.
I never realised that. But actually, I hate to correct you, but I play flute on under wraps.
Oh, that's right. It's very subtle, but it is there. Yeah, you're right.
Very subtle, but it's there. I always put a bit of flute in on my solo albums. I just put a little bit in there. I don't know why, because I'm mischievous, but. Yeah, but certainly in the big picture, and the good thing for me, the bad thing for Ian is that you can flute lines transfer to guitar lines very, very easily and readily. I'm sure vice versa, but we seem to get round keyboard parts and flute parts between me and Dan Crisp, with his guitar playing as well.
So tell us about the makeup and background of the other players and vocalists on the album.
Well, they're all part of what I call the Martin Barre band, which varies from a four-piece, which came to Australia. That's me, Alan Thompson on bass, Dan Crisp on vocals and electric guitar, and Darby Todd on drums. And then we, according to where we are and what the budget is, I had Adam Waitman on keyboards. He came to South America with us, and he's Rick Waitman's son, and an amazing keyboard player. Usually plays with Ozzy Osbourne. And then I had Dee Palmer and Clive Bunker to make it the sort of Jethro Tull, in inverted commas, show. And then the two girls, Alex and Becca, come on the road with what I call the big band. So that's an 8-piece or sometimes a 9-piece, and they do backing vocals, and they have a dedicated section of the show where they sing the acoustic songs that are on the CD, and that's the band, big band.
So just going back to the early days, can you recall the exact circumstances of you joining Jethro Tull after that first album?
They are indelibly written on my brain. I can remember sort of everything. It's a long story, but essentially I'll try and do a short version. Sure. I was a guitar player, flute player in the UK, playing sort of bluesy rock guitar and playing Roland Kirk style blues flute. And I heard of somebody else who was doing the same thing, and eventually we met. He'd heard about me, so we played a gig together at a blues club in England, and that was Ian and me. We all got on really well. I was a big fan of Mick Abrahams, and then a couple of months later, Mick left. I auditioned with another hundreds of other guitar players. And to cut a long story short, Christmas '68, we went into rehearsals in London, and we essentially learnt the music of stand-up, which we then took on the road in January of '69, etc., etc.
Would you have classified yourself as a fan of the band before you auditioned?
Yeah, I would. I mean, not in the strict sense of fans as an audience, but when I heard about them, and in fact the drummer I was playing with said, "You're going to love this band. They're exactly up your street." And when I saw them, everything they did was what I wanted to do in music. They just personified my dream band, the way I wanted to be. So in that respect, I really was, even though they were more of a blues band when I saw them, but just the sound and the energy, I really thought they were amazing. And to join them, I mean, that's why there were so many guitarists up for the job, because it was sort of a dream gig. for a musician.
So looking back over the back catalogue, I'm sure it'd be hard to pick out one particular album, but there are any albums in particular that I guess were personally satisfying for you in terms of, this is the band exactly how I would have envisaged it?
Well, I think Stand Up, in retrospective, it is a great album of songs and riffs, and it's very playable. The performance is rough and ready, but that's a little vignette of how things were in 1969, so it's fine. But Benefit is an extension of that, maybe a little bit more refined, but exciting. You can feel the confidence in that album in the studio. And then really the one I'd be proud of would be Crest of a Knave, because it was essentially me, Ian, and Dave Pegg in the studio for a couple of months, no outsiders at all. So there's a big input into the music, I did a lot of writing, arranging. So and the fact we got a Grammy was really nice, to say the least. But I'm proud in some degree, to some degree, in all the albums of what I've done. So sometimes I think I could have done better. It's the way people are. I'm very self-critical, and I'm never glib, and I'm never sort of self-congratulating. And I'm always looking at the future and seeing how I can improve what I do. I've always been that way.
Have you ever taken time to ponder where your career may have gone had you never joined Jethro Tull? Is that something you ever think about?
I do, yeah. Well, I was doing architecture at university, and when the management found me, they're looking for me. They'd forgotten my name after we played together, and they were looking for a guitar player. We literally were playing the last show. We'd given up. We had no money. I was going to go back to college, take up my degree course, and that very night is the night that Terry Ellis, the manager, came up to me and said, "I've been looking for you. Give me a call tomorrow on this number." I'm going, whoa. And I knew what it was. He didn't say, but I knew what it was, because it was a chrysalis band, and Jethro Tull were famously a chrysalis act.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I would be an architect. I'd probably be a multi-millionaire living in Sydney with a harbour view, in a gorgeous house with a swimming pool and a tennis court, and a flat in London and in New York, and a huge architectural firm, maybe. Or not. Who knows? Who knows? It's sliding doors, isn't it? I mean, it happens in everybody's life. You make a decision, and sometimes it's takes you somewhere you really don't know where you're going.
Yeah. Maybe best not to think about it too much.
Yeah, well, I have no regrets.
Yeah,
without a doubt. And I met my wife when I was on the road in America. I had 3 wonderful kids. You can hear the grandkids.
Yeah, you
can. They're amazing. I couldn't have one regret ever. Yeah. And I came to Australia, and it's one of my favourite places. Not just because I'm talking to you now, but I've always loved coming over to Australia, and I always make the pretense that I have to get there 10 days a week earlier to get over jet lag, but essentially it's just to have a holiday.
So generally, how's the feedback been from long-term Jethro Tull fans to these new arrangements?
It's good. When Jethro Tull finished in 2011, I just didn't know what was going to happen. I sort of, back to square one, had no management, no record company, no band. But I'm quite a determined person, very obstinate, and I don't give up on anything. So I put my toe in the water, got a band, started playing different music. I had some solo material, some Tull material, and sort of experimented, but essentially the fans gathered round me and made it work. So, which is why maybe this is part of doing this 50th anniversary CD. I wanted to do something special for the fans as a thank you for giving me 50 years. And, it sounds really, okay, a bit of a spin. But I genuinely am so proud and grateful and happy that I've been able to do what I do. And, the fans have been incredibly supportive. Jethro Tull doesn't exist, but they've got my band, and, we fly the flag, and I'm going to take my music and Tull's music everywhere I can for as long as I can. And the fans, I think that they appreciate the dedication, and they like the band. I've got a great band. They're phenomenal. So it's all good. It's all very, very positive.
Speaking of feedback, has there been any direct or indirect feedback from Ian about this album?
No.
No? So the lines of communication aren't connected there.
Correct. Yeah. I don't often give one-word answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no communication at all. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not worth going into because it's I have the best band I've ever played with. I'm playing great music. Ian's a great songwriter, and I'm playing his songs. I'm proud of them. He should be proud of them. So, it's good. I don't have a bad thought in my body or brain.
How important has it been when constructing a set list to get that perfect balance between the Tull material and maybe incorporating your new, more recent material as well?
It's quite flexible and it all works. And I normally, other than this anniversary tour that I've been doing, it's 50-50, maybe half of mine, 50-50 or 60-40, 60% Tull. But fans know my music, and that makes me feel great, that if they shout out for one of my songs, I'm sort of secretly going, yes, thank you. and I guess, that there's a thread musically between what I do and what Tull did, because I was there, the guitar was a big part of the music. So there's a connection all the way through, and I'm writing a lot more, but I haven't changed. I'm the same person, the same sort of outlook on music. So it sits comfortably, and I just make as I said earlier, a judgment call about what I think that the audience would like, and we have a huge reservoir of music. Literally, probably 5 hours of music that we could play. And so we can always change. The nice thing, we never did it in Tull, but I quite like the idea that we arrive somewhere. Let's say we arrive in Melbourne, and you think, should we do a couple of new songs tonight? And the guys go, yeah, okay. What do you fancy? I love that. And I always think, that in the old days, fans came to several shows, and I always hated the fact that every show was exactly the same, choreographed, everything was identical, everything. So I like to think that if they do that, they're probably not expecting anything different, but like to throw in something really off the grid that will make me go, oh wow, that was the night they played that song I haven't heard for years. It's a nice feeling that you can really change things fairly quickly.
I guess it'd be like a liberating experience for you being out of Jethro Tull now, in terms of being able to explore these other things away from the confines of the band.
Yeah, well, I think things got very set in the ways, and nothing was changing. We were plodding along as Tull. It all got very stale and stagnant without us realising it. And I always wanted to change the production and get guest musicians and but I wasn't successful in doing that. So when I started on my own, I just, from the first gig, realised how little guitar I'd been playing in the latter years. The guitar had gone to the background. There were more instrumentals. It was fine. I can play in any situation and enjoy playing. I play rhythm guitar all night if it's in a great band. But yeah, it was liberating. I suddenly rediscovered guitar playing again in a very nice way.
And I guess touring at the level you are now and doing the types of gigs you are now would be much different to the heyday of Jethro Tull with the major arenas and big stadium shows. Has that been a welcome transition for you too?
Oh, I want to play to as many people as I can, and the reason is if I can do big shows, I can bring all the band. And it was a bit frustrating coming to Australia that I could only bring the 4-piece band. Next time, maybe can do a little bit more. I always want to give as much as I can. So playing bigger stadiums just means that it enables me to put on a bigger show, better lights, more musicians. So I always reinvest. But when we play as a 4-piece, it's tight. There's lots of space. There's lots of dynamics. It's every show is a great show, and it doesn't matter how small or big the gigs are. We do festivals, we do big clubs. It's all a great experience for the band and hopefully for the audience. So, and the way we are, it's very much a touring band. We all travel together. Obviously, we sort of, if we have a day off, we're still all together. We'll go and sightsee, we'll go and have lunch, we'll go out for dinner. It's a great feeling of togetherness, and that sort of harkens back to the old days of Tull, because traditionally a band at the beginning stick together all 24 hours a day. Why, I don't know, but it's a very tight shop, and it's nice as well.
I know this wouldn't be a motivating factor for you, but do you think this album and the shows that you've been doing, incorporating the old Tull material, has had the effect of maybe reminding people of the enormity of your contribution to the band's recorded legacy? Because I guess the more casual fans wouldn't see much past the front man, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it happened a lot. It's not part of why I do it or what I'm doing. And if people think that, then that's nice. That's good for me. Mm-hmm. Really, the end product needs to be very complete. So when we play a song like "Nothing Is Easy," as you say, well, you didn't say, but you said there's no flute. But a few people have come to me and said, you know what? It was only halfway through the show that I realised there's no flute in the show, and it's just a similar thing to what you said. And I think, well, yeah, that's good, because that's the way I want it to be. I don't want anything to be missing. So yeah, it's a great vehicle for me, and I love playing. I don't want to play plaster the show with guitar solos, so I give the other guys space. Musically and physically on stage. Now, I want everybody to be a part of the show, but I really love playing guitar so much that it's a real pleasure.
And just a couple of things before I let you go, Martin. I believe, your touring schedule this year obviously has been put on hold, as it has for just about everybody. But has pretty much this year's shows all been rescheduled for next year? That's how it's looking?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's definitely nothing this year, and there's things booked for next year, and whether they happen or not, and I'm not planning on it, but yes, I am. I mean, we're ready to go at the drop of a hat. If next week somebody said, you can go ahead and go over and do this tour wherever it would be, we jump on a plane and do it, because we're just desperate to get back on the road again. That's what we do. That's our lives. But the reality is a different story. And I follow the world news. And at one moment, one country is incredibly safe, and then suddenly it turns around. Everything's so unpredictable. And all the talk of vaccines and tests, I don't know. I know less than anybody, and I don't think anybody knows anything anyway. Even all the scientists over here contradict each other, and the rules are complex. Nobody knows what the rules are. It's just people. It's guesswork.
It is, yeah.
Lots of headless chickens in government, and I don't want to get into politics, but and they've got a horrible, difficult job to do, and it's all unknown territory. But I feel bad for the crew, the sort of on the periphery of all of this, that desperate, they have no reserves, and they're out of a job. Clubs closing down, theatres closing down. It's really bad, and it's as part of the arts, it's desperately important to keep it alive. We get no support at all from the government. That's the picture. Sorry, you asked me the question, and that's the answer.
No, absolutely. It is one of those things that's just, as you say, so unpredictable. Once you think you've got a handle on it, and you're getting on top of it, something else happens.
Yeah. All I can say is my guitar has a new set of strings on it. My suitcase is always packed, and my shoes are polished. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
And I believe you do have hopes for a 50th anniversary of Aqualung celebration as well.
Yeah. Well, somebody mentioned it to me, and I hadn't thought about it because I don't want to get too set in this concept of, every year's a celebration, which essentially it is. But Aqualung's an important album, so we'll go on the road next year or whenever we do. At some point, we're going to do a show where the second half is all of Aqualung, from beginning to end in sequence. I thought, that'd be cool.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, so I'm writing music that sort of goes into the bits, like the flute solo of My God is now a piece of music by Carl Jenkins. I put it up on YouTube. It's called Palladio, and I just thought I can't do the flute solo. I don't want to do a guitar solo, but it has to have this sort of interlude of something really different. So I was really pleased that I was able to come up with. There'll be ideas. It'll be expanded, but whatever it is, it'll sound good and it'll be fun to play.
And what about new non-Tull related music? Are you working on anything new there?
Well, I've had all this summer. I've written a load of music, but this CD that we're talking about, the 50 years, is out. Then there's a DVD coming out by Christmas. So I need to sort of pause. Keep writing, keep working. I've got a lot of material to work on, but I'll probably keep it till next year and maybe do a solo album even at the end of next year. Looking back, I've done lots of records in the last 5-6 years, and I feel that the last solo record, Roads Less Travelled, didn't really get a good airing. It didn't. There's a lot of tracks we never played live that I want to, and I feel I've sort of cheated myself. So I'd like to give that a little bit more breathing space before I move on. I'm sport for choice, which is nice.
Well, we're certainly loving this album and looking forward immensely to the DVD. Unfortunately, one of my great regrets of 2019 was I was unable to get to your shows when you were here. So you can rest assured next time you're out here, I'll be there front and centre.
Good. Yeah, well, we had a fabulous time, which is no surprise. And the people that brought us over to Australia want us back. So it's inevitable that we will be there because they want us and I want to be there. So it's a done deal.
Fantastic. We'll look forward to that. Martin, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations again on this album. It's fantastic, and we'll look forward to the DVD. And whenever that may be, we'll look forward to you being back here in Melbourne again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, John.
All the best. Thanks for your time.
You've been a pleasure. Bye.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.